That is the stage that you will be witnessing the European nations rookie and pro individual competitions today. We are here once again live in Weissach in Switzerland for the European Nations Cup, where the rookies and the pros will compete to combine their points and see who's got the national pride. I'm Troy Mannering, going to be your host today, guiding you through the proceedings of the day. And once again, joined by Jolanda Gnedinger, our expert to keep me on the straight and narrow as far as competition format and everything is concerned. Welcome again.
Hi, everyone.
All right, we also have one other person joining us today, and he is going to be roaming about on the grounds. We'll see him doing interviews, checking things out. We might even get a little bit of commentary from him and one of his experts out there, and that is Marcus Float, who is out there somewhere. Marcus, are you there? There he is.
Indeed I am, and as you can see, I'll be running around backstage trying to get some behind-the-scenes insights for you guys. All the athletes are getting ready now. We're about to go on stage and we are ready to rock and roll. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Marcus. So we've got a ton of action planned for you for today. Before we get going with the action on stage, though, we're going to send it over to the stage where we're going to introduce you to some of the key players. So some of the important people that are going to be keeping an eye on the competition itself, as well as our competitors in the first group here, and that is the rookies. Let's head over there now and meet those people right away. So first of all, you could see right there with the orange stripe on his shirt, that is the Global Sports Director, Spike Milton. He'll be overseeing the entire proceedings today. If there are any niggly little things that need to be taken care of, Spike will be the man that they go to. And he's responsible for so many things here today, so a very, very important individual. Next up, we'll have Schul Janssen joining him on stage. He is going to be our head referee for the judges today on stage. Joining him on stage will be his partner in crime, as it were, the other referee, Ruud Meyer. So those two gentlemen will be keeping a close eye on the action that's happening on stage today. And then from our competition control center, where we have all our high-speed cameras fed into, we will have Nout van Liach. He is the man who's going to be keeping a very, very close eye on all that high-speed action. And if anything happens too quick or maybe a little bit off center or off key, it's going to go to the competition control center. And now we will introduce our athletes. And actually, we're going to have the bonus of having the pros and the rookies coming on stage together. So coming out now is Italy, I think. It's only the rookies, excuse me. Yeah, so there we see Nicola Trecchiacchi. I think I've butchered that one already, Jolanda. And Miki Perrin is with him there. Then coming out from Poland, we have the Groenwald brothers, Mikołaj and Szymon. There's Szymon right there. Szymon is the younger of the two brothers, in fact, at just 16. I think he might even be 17 now. I think he might have had a birthday in between. Then representing the Nordics, we have a Swedish and a Norwegian competitor coming out. It's going to be Ebsen Pedersen and Edvin Karlsson. Following, okay, they're calling it Team Scandinavia, but it's the Nordics for us here in studio. And now from France. So there we see Loïc Voisin and Vincent Roussel coming up on stage. Following our French competitors, we will have our team from Germany, with Danny Vielwert and Tim Anthofer. Danny Vielwert, first up there, Tim Anthofer. Danny Vielwert just won the Rookie Newcomer Cup in Germany.
That's right.
So he's a man to keep a close eye on. Very, very strong competitor. And finally, the home team, Team Switzerland, consisting of Niels Rölli and Sean Oesch. We saw these guys competing yesterday as well, and we'll have them one more time on stage here today. So they've had a busy weekend, and we've got a busy weekend still coming your way with lots of action here, first of all with the rookies, and then later on today in the afternoon with the pros. So there we have our cast of characters, our athletes, our stage judges, and everybody responsible for making sure this show goes off without a hitch on stage. As far as the TV broadcast, that's on us here today, and we'll get ready with a little bit more information for you as we get the athletes off stage and get the stage prepared for the first set of disciplines. And before that, let's take a look at the competition format for our rookies today with 4 disciplines being battled out.
The STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Rookie Competition. All athletes will compete in 4 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the standing block chop. Points remain the same, awarded based on times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. As the third discipline, every competitor will need to show their skill in the single buck. And in the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest point total wins the competition.
So, Yolanda, that was the rookie format, but there will be a slight addition to this rule here because this is the Nations Cup. The rookies' points will be accumulated and then later added to the points that the pros accumulate, so the nation overall with the highest points will be the one with the win today. So it's about them gathering points right now, and the rookies with 2 athletes from each nation competing for the most points, and then those points are, like I said, added to the overall, and we'll have the Nations Cup award at the end. So you won't see an award ceremony with the rookies. We will see it for the winning nations at the end of the competition. So before we get there, though, we got to get through our first discipline, which is the stock saw. Let's check out the tool and discipline.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL TIMBERSPORTS as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
So there's our start list for stock saw. Let me see if I can get this first name from our Italian competitor right. Nicola Treccarici. I hope I said that right. And of course we have Niels Rölli. You know this guy pretty well.
That's right.
Is he a good stock sawyer or somebody we can look to do well here in this discipline? I saw yesterday, kind of okay.
He was okay, but again, these are the rookies, so they're just getting into these competitions.
It's also one of his very first competitions, isn't it? So representing the Nations Cup is also quite a solid performance for him.
That's right.
All right, so You see the rest of the list there. Perrin Groenwald, Peterson Groenwald. There's a couple of Groenwald brothers in there from Poland. Both of them very, very incredibly strong competitors. Oesch, Voisin going against each other. Vielwert and Anthofer. Ooh, the Germans battling each other. But you'll see them head-to-head on stage. What counts here, though, is, as always, the time. And the fastest time gets the most points. So there on the left-hand side, you see Nicola Trecarici going up against Niels Rolli. Niels passed by the front of the booth here a few times, kind of snuck a peek in. I don't know if he wanted to maybe say I was murdering his name as well or said something wrong about him. But yeah, we saw him hanging around outside here. So getting ready for the first heat to start our day off here at the European Nations Rookie Cup 2022.
Okay, warm up yourselves.
Trecarici tapping the log with the bar. I don't think he actually wanted to do that. He's got to be careful. If that saw was running, he might have had a bit of an issue.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, great start by Trecarici as he got into that first cut really nicely. Oh, Niels Rolli's got a cutout. I hope oh no, he's got a massive second cut. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's got no room to make the third cut there and get a proper second cookie on the deck. He's probably going to be over the line, and he realized it right away. That second cookie was far too big. Oh, that is unfortunate for Niels Rolli. That's going to mean a DQ for him. Trecarici's got quite a big second cookie as well. So this is all coming down to experience, isn't it, Yolanda?
That is right. So these young guys don't have a lot of that, and getting up on this big stage with the public in the background, their nerves are all shaken up.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand 1, cut good. Stand 2, DQ, incomplete cookie.
Yeah, Niels Rolli not happy about that at all. We've seen him cut better, definitely. That was just like you say, the nerves, the butterflies maybe taking over. So we're going to get a slow-mo and see what happened here.
He also had a little bit of a hard time getting to that saw. That is so crucial, that those seconds from the wood to the saw.
And there you can see the cutout at the bottom. He realized it. His swing to the upstroke was so massive, he just didn't have any room at all for a second cookie that would give him an opportunity to not cut over the line. So, and you could see the saw disappearing in the tip of the bar, disappearing in there, just the last tap to get it off. It was pretty close for Trecarici as well, because he had a pretty big second cookie too.
He did.
All right, here's a couple of guys that are both really solid in this discipline. There's no two ways about it. They've got plenty of experience as rookies. Szymon Groenwald has come on strong in the last couple of, I would say even just last season. He just came out of the blue from Poland and has absolutely been a dominant athlete. Miki Perrin, he'll be in the blue on the other side of the stage. Is also an incredibly good athlete. And we've seen both of these guys at the Rookie Academy early in the season. Szymon is the Polish rookie champion. He's also, I believe, got the standing block chop world record for rookies. I'll have to double check that.
I think he does, yes.
So, I mean, this is a kid that Poland is looking at to be the next superstar of timber sports. Let's see how these two go against each other.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, fantastic start by both of them. Miki Perrin into it very quick, but look at that saw from Niels Groenwald, or Szymon Groenwald. Whoa, how close is that? 11:62 to 12:35. Miki Perrin a little bit faster on that upcut. Looks like he's got two good cookies and plenty of room to that blue line. Remember, they only have 10 centimeters to make that cut.
Ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
So, Miki Perrin and Szymon Groenwald have our first times locked in, but it's Nicola Trecarici with the fastest time and a personal best so far with an 11:44, who is the man to beat as we take a look back here.
So that start was so fast, I was surprised that there wasn't a false start by Szymon.
But that thin cookie on the second cut for Miki was really, really solid. So Miki Perrin from Italy, obviously very, very accurate with that cut and knows that machine very well with a good time with 11:55. And now we move on to our next heat with Espen Chuli, excuse me, I called him Beans Peterson. Espen Peterson from Norway. Is it Norway? No, excuse me. Denmark. My flag availability in my brain is non-existent. Mikołaj Groenwald, the other Groenwald brother, competing here. You can see there he got second place at the Polyrooking Championship. So those two boys are really close together with each other. Espen Petersen,
Warm up
the
yourself.
Danish representative. Espen looking pretty casual there as Mikołaj takes a couple of test strokes and sets his saw in position to make sure that he is all good.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber.
Mikołaj looks a bit
3,
amped up.
2, 1,
He does.
go!
Good start by Espen Petersen. It's also a Norwegian that holds the stock saw world record for the pros at the moment as well. Oh, how close is that one? Groenwald coming from behind at a 12.86 and Espen Petersen with a 13.72. Looks like both cuts are going to be good as well. Plenty of space there on the lines. A nod.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
So I just said we had a nod from Ruud Meyer over to Sjoerd Janssen so that he knows the cut is good. And that just little communication right there on stage is what's happening. You'll sometimes see both of the judges check the lines to make sure that they're really close, because we did see this yesterday, like millimeters left to make it a fair cut.
That's right. There's some close calls there yesterday.
A couple of different styles as far as positioning as well. Espen Petersen looking pretty relaxed, standing tall.
Yeah, and you see there, he had a little bit of an issue getting that saw down in the first cut. So I don't know if the wood was a little bit hard or if he just almost bogged it out.
This is always a question that comes up for me. Hardwood, softwood, if it's wet, if it's dry, what are the effects of those two situations for the wood? We'll talk about that later on. In the meantime, heat number 4 in stock saw with Sean Usch going up against Loïc Vincent. Both of these guys competing in the Swiss Rookie Championship yesterday. Sean setting the markings, his guidelines for his cuts. So one of the things that we always say here in Timber Sports is thin to win. So obviously that first cookie, if it's nice and thin, you've got a lot more space to make any mistakes on that second cut and still be within line.
Okay.
That's right.
Warm up
But it
yourself.
also doesn't drag on the saw as much, correct?
That's right. But there's always that chance that either it can break, but if you can set it back together, then it's a complete cookie. But if you cut out because it's thin, then you got to hope you have enough wood.
Athletes ready.
Positives and negatives to both. Here we go.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Sean Usch, and he's got a good thin cookie. Let's see if he can keep it that way, and he does. Transition to the upcut is very nice. Both of them pretty even. Oh, Vincent has a super thin cookie, and he's fast on the upcut as well with an 11.10. Sean Usch with a 12.68. So Vincent will take over the fastest time in stock saw with Sean Usch sitting in 5th place with a 12.68.
And even today, some personal bests are being done.
Ladies and
Again.
gentlemen, both kids are good.
So Loïc Vincent with a personal best after adjustment. We're looking at an 11.01 for him. Sean Usch with a 12.61. So they took off 0.2 of a second of the time for him. So that's a nice cut for both of those guys. Almost looked like Sean Usch got the motor a little bit hooked up on the block on his first cut start.
Yeah, the saw must have pulled it in a little bit. That's so crucial that you have control over that saw. Keep it close to you and be able to guide it.
It was a nice cookie though, and his transition was really quick, but boy, I tell you, that cut up from Loïc Vincent was insane. What a talent. All right, a couple of Germans going against each other. We saw these guys both competing at the Newcomer Rookie Championships in Germany just a week ago. Danny Vielwert and Tim Anthofer. Danny is very close to moving into the pro ranks. I think we'll be seeing him competing in the pro ranks next season at the very latest. He is a solid competitor, knows what he needs to do out there. Tim Anthofer still kind of cutting his teeth, as it were, as far as competitions go. At 23 years of age, he can still compete for one more year as a rookie. And if he needs a little bit more time after that, he can switch to the intermediate class.
That's right.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So a lot of hopes on Danny Vielwert as the rookie champion. And it's a beautiful transfer by him on the upcut. Tim Anthofer's upcut pretty close to the line, but still safe, I would say. And wow,
that
really
was close
times between the two of them, 12:06 to a 12:37. So they're middle of the field between the two of them. They're 4th and 6th place respectively. Danny Vielwert in 4th and Tim Anthofer in 6th in the Stockstar results.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
All right, let's get back into the slow-mos. It looked like Danny Vielwert had a really, really quick start, and you can see there's a time adjustment there as well after Competition Control Center gets their hands on it. So his time has been adjusted to 11:93 officially, and Tim Anthofer to a 12:25.
So you can see by these two guys that they do train a little bit together. You can see their styles are fairly similar.
Big angle on that saw on the upcut. Not as much pulling on the handle as I would anticipate, almost like that teeter-totter action would be what they want to have. Pretty accurate cuts though. You don't see a lot of angle on the front of that log, so solid performance right there as we go to our last heat in Stocksaw, and that is with Vincent Roussel and Edvin Karlsson. You can see Edvin Karlsson's personal best, I believe, is also the rookie world record.
It sure is. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here today. Wood's good, so.
So we've had 2 personal bests so far. Loïc Voisin and Nicolas Trecarici. Will another Frenchman take a personal best here? The 2nd place, the French Rookie Championship, Vincent Roussel.
Warm up yourselves.
Edvin Karlsson, as we know, is a solid sawyer with the Stocksaw in hand, having the rookie world record. That's got to be playing a little bit into the mind of Vincent Roussel as well, even though he knows it's just about the time here.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Roussel with a very nice start. Karlsson's looking pretty good as they both drop the cookie at exactly the same time. Karlsson's upcut looking really quick though.
Oh, wow.
Both of them very, very fast. The time was still running there for Roussel, but it stops at 11:52. Karlsson with 11:43. Just a couple hundredths of a second separating those two guys. So that is a fantastic run for Edvin Karlsson, sitting in 2nd place in Stocksaw, and Vincent Roussel in 3rd, right behind him.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
So unreal. So you see someone who's very experienced and someone who just literally started at the beginning this year.
Yeah, and I mean, that tells you a lot about how much he's been training, because you often tell me that the Stocksaw is very often forgotten by these athletes because they just, they don't practice this one as much, but it really does require a lot of practice, and clearly Vincent Roussel has been on the saw quite a lot.
He definitely has, and it pays off.
Edvin Karlsson, a great performance there, but look at that, how close these two are. I mean, just literally, it was like a hair's breadth between the two of them. Fantastic. Love to see those kinds of heats. That's always nice. All right, so stock saw results. This will also be the overall results as the first discipline out before we move on to the standing block chop. Loic Vincent with the personal best on top. Edwin Carlson and the other Frenchman, Vincent Roussel, sitting in second place. And Nicolas Trecarici also taking a personal best in fourth, with Miki Perrine rounding out the top 5 there. And I do believe that we have Edwin Carlson over with Marcus right now for a quick interview. Maybe we can head over there and see if he's got him ready to go. Yeah, it looks like he's there.
So I've got Edwin standing next to me. The start into competition is always very important. Can we say the sun always shines in Switzerland for you today? Second best time of the day?
Yeah, that feels good. I've been a bit of a roller coaster in the stocks this year, so yeah, it's nice to be able to put down a good cut.
I mean, your personal best is tremendous, but like you said, it's been an up and down this season, so you can be pleased and happy to go to the next one.
Yeah, I'm happy there's no DQ, that's all, yeah.
So good luck for the next one as well, and definitely going to see you in a bit.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so stock saw is done and dusted. We have our first set of rankings. That is the stock saw ranking, which equals the overall ranking at the moment. But now that we're moving on to our next discipline, and that is going to be the standing block chop. Once this discipline is done, we'll start to see the rankings juggle a little bit. So I'm looking forward to a really good standing block. Let's check out the tool and discipline for our next event.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 27 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
All right, folks, there's our start list for the standing block chop, and I just wanted to jump in really quickly with you, Yolanda, because we saw yesterday with the rookies that the angles were very much an effect on how they chopped. Do you think these guys took video or looked at the video and are coming back today with maybe a different concept about how to take those angles, or is this just something that's going to have to be developed over time with experience?
So these athletes definitely do look at the videos. That is so crucial. If anything can be changed in one day, that is questionable. So training is key.
Okay, well, there you see our first heat in standing block with Nicolas Trecarici going up against Vincent Roussel. And what we're talking about there is the angle of attack on those first couple of drivers. So any standing discipline, the drivers have to start from below. And we saw that yesterday as one of our athletes in the pro competition was DQ'd because he hit from above on a standing discipline. That was actually the springboard with Ollie Reinhardt, which was really an unfortunate situation for him because he was in the lead at that point, and just one small mistake.
Okay.
And afterwards I talked to him, he says, I didn't know.
Athletes ready.
So they have to hit from down low, their first hit.
2, 1, go!
And then, there we go, a couple of drivers going in right away, 2 from down low, then they can start going up and down. No, it doesn't have to be 2 drivers from down low, it just has to be the opening driver has to be from down below. Trecarici over to the other side quickly, about a half stroke, maybe 1 full stroke ahead of Vincent Roussel. And he's looking good, actually. Very accurate drivers there. A little bit of a step right there, but he cleaned it up quickly. And he's getting close to getting through that block, and he's done it in a personal best, 29.05. And Vincent Roussel's done the same thing. A beautiful 29.52. Wait a minute. Roussel's still there. They stopped his time for whatever reason, I don't know, but Vincent is still cutting. So they jumped the gun a little bit on competition control center timing, and Roussel almost there. 2-3 more drivers maybe. Let's see. One more driver is
more.
going to do it. So my call was off, and Vincent Roussel with a 55.95. So missed call on my part there based on the graphics, but it is Nicola Trecarici with a 28.86 and a personal best for the Italian. Well
Ladies
done.
and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
No, they're not going to commentate.
Both very good hard hits. But we saw that Roussel had a little bit of trouble at the end trying to knock off that block. I think through experience, you learn that you need to really work on that first side. And we can see it. He didn't do a lot of chipping out there. He should have done a couple more rounds, and he would have had it a lot easier on the second side.
All right, but you can see here, but Trecarici's drivers are really accurate from the top. A little steps, like you say, on the bottom. But here, that final driver, absolutely
Look at that
out
power.
in the left field. Tons of power. All right, so I've been told after the slow-mo here, we're going to go over to Marcus Floaty Float. But we're going to take a look at our next heat first, and that's a German in the mix, Tim Anthofer, going up against Switzerland's Niels Rölli. And that's one of the reasons why we're going over to Floaty, because he is with Danny Martin.
So with Tim competing against Niels, it's a great pleasure to have the German champion next to me. Also ich habe jetzt den deutschen Meister neben mir.
Okay.
Für dich ist das natürlich schon sehr spannend.
Athletes
gerade Jungs ein
ready.
bisschen auf die
Sounds
Finger
like
zu
we're going to
schauen.
go over to
Du musst das
Floaty and let
super,
Ian and
Fabi,
Danny
das höre ich
Martin
immer wieder. Was kann man
run
dem
this
Team
heat
hier so
here.
ein
Let's see
Duell
what they have to
mitgeben?
say.
Ja, dass er ruhig bleiben muss, einfach schöne Öffnungsschläge macht und dann erst explodiert.
Und wir werden das jetzt beobachten, ob das auch jetzt gerade passiert, because Danny said the beginning is very important, to stay calm, to stay cool, but then really get the fire going. Is that happening? Passiert das jetzt gerade?
Auch auf jeden Fall, das macht er. Hat jetzt gute Öffnungsschläge gemacht und ist dann explodiert. Macht jetzt auf der zweiten Seite wieder 4 Öffnungsschläge, konzentriert sich darauf und jetzt kommt dann die Explosion.
So the magic number seems to be 4 strokes and then get the explosion going. Danny is confident at the moment, sieht gut aus, aber
Doch.
ein enger
Er
Kampf.
beißt,
oder?
er beißt. Er hat jetzt ein bisschen unterschnitten. Er müsste jetzt ein bisschen höher schlagen einfach. Der Winkel ist einfach zu schlecht. Aber er wird ihn jetzt schon ganz gut wegmachen. Ja, jetzt noch 1, 2 Schläge. Jawohl.
Aber tolle Competition, oder, dieser
Auf
Wettkampf.
jeden Fall. Also haben wir letztes Jahr schon mal gehabt und ja, auf jeden Fall, dass da viele gute Jungs da sind, auch die Jungen sich messen können und auch Beistand von uns großen Jungs kriegen und doch, ist eine super Sache.
So Danny says he thinks this is like a great competition where the
Ladies and
rookies get
gentlemen,
together with the
both
pros,
get
and
together.
as we've just seen, ganz viel ist passiert. Ja, der direkte Wettkampf, der spornt die Jungs an. Du hast das sehr gut analysiert. Dann ist vielleicht der Winkel nicht so gut und dann kann man drüber reden und das nachher dann auch entsprechend ausmerzen im gemeinsamen Gespräch.
Auf jeden Fall, danach wird alles besprochen. Und das Gute ist einfach, man agiert im Team. Da tut man dann doch mal den einen oder anderen Trick verraten, noch mehr, weil wir sind ja gemeinsam hier, 2 Rookies und 2 Pros und wollen gemeinsam hier gut auftreten.
So it's all about teamwork. It's getting the rookies together with the pros. It's about those little things that he will talk to Tim right after this competition. It was very enjoyable. Thanks for taking your time. And we're back to the studio. Yolanda and, of course, Troy, over to you.
All right, so we're hearing there from Danny in German and Floaty doing the on-the-fly translations. Let's take a look at this slow-mo a little bit. And we saw here, talked a little bit about those straight hits into the block in the slow-mos at the end of this heat.
That's right, and the boys, they changed over so quick because I think they were kind of watching each other. So you really got to be in your own game. You got to concentrate on your block and not what your athlete that is against you is doing, because they both had a little bit of trouble here also driving off that block.
And Niels Rölli looked like his top hits were nice and smooth. The bottom hits were a little bit stepped, but nevertheless, he had the faster times of the two, the 42-43, Tim Anthofer with a 46. And now we've got another German in the mix here. This time it's going to be Espen Petersen going up against Danny Fjellvert. Danny Fjellvedt has definitely the faster of the personal best times, but as we've noticed, the tail of the tape doesn't necessarily dictate who's going to win the heat today. Espen Petersen definitely has been working on his standing block, so we'll see how these two battle it out as they're making some block changes out there really quickly to make sure we have fresh wood on deck for these guys. In the meantime, we always talk about how Timbersports is the original extreme sport. Well, it all started with a $50 bet back in the day. Let's take a quick look back at how that all came to be.
A woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the ones that get to it. Look at this, Cormac is playing a great game of catch-up. Oh my God! Matthew Cormac gets the world record. What a battle between these two warriors.
So at Teal's Timbersports on YouTube, if you want to see the full documentary about the history of Timbersports, it's fantastic. Gives you a bit of insight into how this sport developed into the world-class event that it is these days. And of course, STIHL right there at the forefront in developing the sport to where it is now with all of the innovations and the log preparation. We'll talk a little bit about the premium competition wood a little bit later on and how it's harvested and everything. But until then, we have the heat now with Danny Fjellvedt and Espen Petersen.
3, 2, 1, go!
I'm noticing that Danny Fjellvedt taking his drivers from below the knee, which is something that we talked about already, having those really nice angles. And look how clean his drivers are from down low. The first couple of guys, those low drivers were really kind of steppy. The top drivers were a bit cleaner, but Danny super accurate with his hits. Both Espen and Danny moved over to the other side of their blocks pretty quickly, and Danny Fjellvedt drops it in 24.34, and Espen Petersen with a personal best of 26.34 was right there with the German all the way along. What a great effort by both of those guys here. Top 2 times of the day so far in standing block chop. Espen Petersen making Juliansen wait as he wraps up his axes.
Both good to good.
I don't think he realized that Jules was waiting for him as he kind of did a hop and a skip over to get to the middle for that official call from Jules. So Danny Fjellvedt with the fastest time of the day in standing block chop at 24.06. Espen Petersen with a 26.13, just a hair behind. Let's look back at this one here.
So you can see how far down Danny comes with that axe. It is so important because you want to make sure that you open that window, and that is, we call it a window, that space that you have open in your block.
Again, more stuff I can use down the road in my commentary. Fantastic with you every time. Espen Petersen with that final driver. Man, he just damaged that block big time. Okay. Heat number 4 in standing block with Mikołaj Groenwald from Poland going up against Szymon from Switzerland. Pretty close times for these two guys as well. Szymon a little bit of an advantage here.
Ja, die erste Ziel, wo es beweisen, dass es schon gewinnt haben, ist der Mikołaj Groenwald und der Szymon aus der Schweiz.
At the moment, by the way, Danny Fjellvedt with that standing block chop. Current points, 19 in total, leading in the overall. Nicola Trecarici tied with Danny with 19 points in second place. Vincent Roussel with 17 points in third place, but we still do have several heats to go, including this one. Mickey Perrin and Edwin Carlson and Loic Voisin and Szymon Groenwald, who we know is absolutely fantastic in this discipline.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Mikołaj Groenwald, really pretty frequent hits there, pretty accurate as well. Szymon looking good as he's chipping out pretty nicely. It's Groenwald moving over to the other side of his block, 3 strokes ahead of Szymon though. Groenwald's going to get close to it. He should be under 20 seconds here with one more driver. Oh, just on the mark at 20 seconds, but I'm thinking they'll probably make an adjustment on that one. Szymon just passing 26, and he drops the block in 27:13. Boy, these guys were really going for it. You can see our photographers down there covered in sawdust and chip bits and stuff. They're risking their lives for taking these pictures. It's fantastic that the job they do.
So they will be taking a look here at Szymon block.
There's just a little tab that's sticking up, and you saw him take a swing at it afterwards. Does that really need to be off?
Both kids are good.
Okay, so clearly not.
So he did do that hit. The block came off cleanly. It did rip out a little bit, but it wasn't anything that he could have cut again.
Yeah. Let's watch this one again. Oh, Mikołaj Groenwald. Look at the power he's putting into those drivers here. Szymon on the other side. His accuracy is really nice, actually.
It's very good. So, but you can see how those windows that I was talking about, by Szymon, it's so big, and by Mikołaj, it's a little bit smaller. So I guess it's how you train and what works for you, but it's a little more forgiving if you do the first side a little bigger than the second.
Interestingly, Szymon upcuts were more steep than his downcuts, so I don't know. As a non-expert in this particular case, it looked like he had better upcuts than he did downcuts with that open window, like you said. So that gave him the advantage coming through this one. But Mikołaj Groenwald, I mean, his frequency of drivers was so fast, plus his accuracy. I mean, that is a deadly combination here.
That's right, yeah. And Szymon with his size, technically it should have been a little bit steeper on his down hits.
Okay, well, there you go. So learning things as we go along, everybody all around the world taking in this information. And we've got a lot of action coming your way still. One more clip coming at you. Let's check this out.
STIHL TIMBERSPORTS is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines, 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition, we need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL TIMBERSPORTS competitions.
All right, I mentioned the premium competition wood earlier, and there's exactly how it is produced and where it comes from for you. Next heat coming up, heat number 5 in standing block. Miki Perrin going up against Edvin Karlsson. Edvin Karlsson, a solid young man. Miki Perrin has the height, so he can actually step back from that block and really make those drivers count, as he has a lot of room from way back out in left field to really pull through.
That's right.
Okay, athletes ready.
Stand to
Edvin
your
Karlsson's
timber.
core strength is
3, 2,
pretty impressive,
1,
though, so that
go!
could be definitely an advantage for him. Good battle between these two guys, should be at least. Karlsson shipping out pretty nicely. Miki Perrin getting right into it. Wow, look at the dust flying off of that. That's that powder that the guys are using on their hands to make sure that they've got a good grip. And Oh, it's going to be close here. Edvin Karlsson coming close, dropping the block there. Oh, it looks like it's just wiggling at 21:53 for Edvin Karlsson. Miki Perrin at 24:73. Quick check by STIHL and Rüd to make sure their blocks are all good.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
Okay, so we've got one more heat to go in standing block chop. Then we'll take a look at the block chop results and the overall results and how they'll change. But before that, quick slow-mo here.
So you see the wood didn't really want to come out there at first by Edison.
Yeah, Edvin not really getting the chips off that he wanted to have there. Miki Perrin, on the other hand, getting some big flyers going there. You can see it on this down cut.
I think there he lost his balance a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So when we get a look at it from the other, oh no, not this time, but his block also split a little bit, so that's why it was vibrating so much.
Yeah, you can see that just a little bit in that one picture. That was a clean cut though from Miki Perrin. And we go to the last heat for standing block. Loïc Voisin up against Szymon Groenwald. That personal best, by the way, 11:90, is the rookie world record for standing block. So the big question here is he hot to trot and is he going to do it again? Or is he going to cut clean and just not quite have a world record? It's a big question. And with the way that Szymon has performed all season long, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen, but you know he's going to be good.
Okay, athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And Szymon right away, 3, 4, 5 hits to Loïc Voisin's 2.5, and he's getting right into it. He definitely wants to try for that record as he moves over to the other side quickly, just passing the 11-second. Oh, a huge skip, and he hit the shin. And quick check there, that axe skipped right down off the block. He took time to make sure everything was good, but unbelievable.
Unreal.
Still managed to get through in 23:66, but he hammered his shin. Hopefully he's okay, and that is exactly the reason why we illustrate so many times that these guys have those special chainmail socks that they wear. You know, it's not going to prevent the pain of an impact injury, but it's going to prevent the guy from getting cut.
That's right, those are so important.
And maybe we'll get a slow-mo of when that axe skipped away from the block.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
And that also is one of those reasons why we have to do that upcut first, because it helps to prevent that. But obviously it can still happen.
There's a lot of adrenaline at play here, so let's see what happens.
So again, that comes also with that angle that is so crucial.
So we can see that Szymon Groenwald had 4 hits to Loïc Voisin's 2, and then switched over to the other side fairly quickly. And there it is right there. And luckily, it was more of a flat axe on the side of his shin instead of the tip or the point of the axe. So perhaps he got a little bit lucky there. And then he just took the time. He took like 4 or 5 seconds to just look at it and make sure everything was okay. And then he went through and cut again. That's a lot of mental acuity to really be on top of it, to take that time, look, and then get back into it. Yeah. So standing block chop results there, you see Mikołaj Groenwald with an adjusted time of 19:91 after competition control. Take a look at it. Edvin Karlsson with the second fastest time. Szymon Groenwald, unbelievably, with the third fastest time, even after hammering his shin. Danny Fjellvedt and Loïc Voisin round out the top 5 there. Let's take a look how that affects the overall standings now for our Nations Cup rookie group. So Edvin Karlsson atop the rankings with 22 points. Loïc Voisin sitting in second. Szymon Groenwald in third place at the moment. And that is where we are with the overall standings. After 2 disciplines, we do have 2 more disciplines to come. The single buck will be the next discipline up, and there's a lot of action still to come today as well in the remainder of the season. So there is the World Championships for the team and individuals coming up at the end of October on the 28th and 29th of October, excuse me. Let's take a quick peek at what that's going to look like in Gothenburg, Sweden. Okay, single buck coming up. There is our heat list, but before we get into the actual action, we want to take a look at the tool and discipline of the single buck. Or not, we'll come back to us because they love our pretty faces. Well, maybe not my pretty face necessarily, but yeah, we're going to be going into the single buck, and here we go with the tool and discipline.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, single buck heat number 1, Espen Petersen from Denmark going up against Nicolai Treccarici from Italy. World record 9.96 seconds. That is held by Ollie Reinhardt. If this is without assistant, no, this is with assistant, so that belongs to Canada's Thomas Henderson.
Okay.
You'd think I would say my own country's
Athletes
name correctly.
ready.
Time, eh?
Stand to your timber.
All right, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Miki Perrin assisting Nicolai Treccarici, looking casual, sitting on the block, waiting to put that wedge in. Edvin Karlsson helping out Espen Petersen with his wedge, but it's Nicolai Treccarici who's got his wedge in first, and he's getting close to the bottom of that with a great time. 16.80 personal best for Treccarici. Espen Petersen also with a personal best 25.05. He did struggle at the bottom of that cut, but it's an improvement for him, so very well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, Espen Petersen and Nicolai Treccarici both getting personal best. Not Nicolai, I've just turned him into a Russian kid. Both with personal best, a 16.66 for Nicolai Treccarici after adjustment, and Espen Petersen with a 24.82. Nicolai really getting into it though.
Yeah, he's using that whole saw, which is very important. And you can see here by Espen, he keeps getting it hooked up. So that happens so quickly if you don't have control of that saw with the weight. When it's to one end and tipping, and it just
Small
takes a
angle
millimeter,
changes,
and
yeah.
that's enough to get it hooked up.
That's crazy. All right, single buck, heat number 2. Mikołaj Groenwald up against Tim Anthofer. Pretty significant time there for Mikołaj Groenwald, 15.36. That is a solid run. If he can pull that off today, he's going to move into the top spot after the second heat. Let's see. Personal best there for Tim is 19.89, also quite respectable.
So you'll see them do their start cut here. This is really important. The judges are going to measure that to make sure that it's fair, and same for both athletes.
It's also important for them, you mentioned that the start cut is lined up straight and there's no angle at the saw, because you can't change the angle of that saw halfway through the cut, can you?
Oh, no, you cannot.
When it's in, it's in.
And you really don't want to cut more wood than you need to.
Unless you've paid for the entire length of the saw like you were mentioning yesterday, right? That's like when people drive in the middle of the road. He paid for his taxes, he can use the middle half of the road.
That's right.
Now there you see Mikołaj, a couple of test draws with the saw upside down. You also told me that that helps clear out some of the gunk that gets stuck in there when they set that first cut, right?
It does. There's two different ways to do it. Either you can have with your helper to pull the saw through a little bit, or you can switch it up on its backside.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Mikołaj Groenwald into it right away, using the entire length of that saw. Tim Anthofer doing well on the other side as well. Both of these guys have good flow. It seems like the rhythm is working for them. And Mikołaj Groenwald getting close to the bottom. He's got himself a personal best with a 15.24. And as I mentioned, with that time, takes over the top spot. Tim Anthofer with a super thin cookie. Risky business there with a very thin cookie, but he did well to keep that saw in motion and kept it from bowing to break that cookie off. So he did a great job, and he's got himself a nice cut as well. Tim Anthofer with a 21.56.
Ladies and gentlemen, both get good.
So Mikołaj Groenwald with another personal best out the window here for us today. That's 3 of 4 runs that have personal bests, and Mikołaj Groenwald with a 15.01 is the time to beat in single buck for the moment. Let's look back at this here with a great start.
Look how quick he was when that go came. He was able to pull that saw right away, and the flow that he had, it's unreal. No hiccups at all. And you can see here the close-up, the saw is barely coming out of that wood, and that's what you want, because if it's up in the air, it's not cutting any wood.
And you can see Tim Anthofer's cookie is very, very thin, so that's nice because it doesn't bind as much on the wood, but the risk is as you get to that point in the cut, if the saw stops and bends at all, it could break the cookie off, right?
That's right, and it's fine if you continue to cut and have a whole cookie, but the time you lose.
Yeah. Okay, next heat coming up, Niels Rolli going up against Vincent Roussel. Guys are getting quicker and quicker and quicker. The more experience they gain, but also we've seen a lot of young athletes come in through the various camps and training camps, and then getting into the rookie ranks and being invited to events like the Rookie Academy, who have shown a dedication to training that's gotten them to a point where they're competing at the highest level really, really quickly in their careers.
Yeah, it's unreal, the talent that has come through the camps and from each of these countries in the last few years.
You could see that Jules Janssen just put that little arced piece of metal in his pocket. If any of you are just joining us and you're wondering what the heck that thing is, well, they use that to guide them to make sure that the saws are set the same for each athlete on each stand, stand A and stand B.
You see how shiny the saws are? They lube those saws up a little bit to help with when it's in the wood and cutting it.
So Niels Rölli up against Vincent Roussel. A bit of a pause here, and the silence is killing me as the pressure mounts for both of these guys. We're just waiting on our stage judges. There seems to be a small discussion on the side there. Can't see it off camera, but from our position, there is some talk, and we're just waiting on the whistle and the prep for our go.
So this is a part. This is where the nerves are going to get you. Either you wait in position or you are a little bit more relaxed.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Niels Rölli with a great start. Boy, he's going knuckles to tip on that one. Vincent Roussel, a little bit of a stick there for him as he's struggling to keep that saw moving and get that flow going. Niels Rölli looking really good, though, as he's more than halfway through, getting down close to the bottom of that cut. He might have a personal best time. He does!
Oh, wow!
18:53 for Niels Rölli, a personal best. Great job by him. Vincent Roussel struggling on the last cut, but he does get through in a 26:23. Niels Rölli with his 18:53 and a personal best slips into third place in the single buck. You see that little blue bag there? There's magnesium in that bag. It's a powder that the guys put on their hands to make sure that they're not blistering up. They can keep hold of their handles as well.
That's right, dries it out a bit.
You'll see that often climbers will use that. They'll have it in that very spot on the bag in the back, and they'll just reach back and have better grip.
That's right. So you can see the difference between the two athletes here of how they use their saws. Vincent is only using the middle part here at the beginning. Obviously, he wants to continue and use afterwards the whole saw. But where these athletes are new and either they own their own saw or they're lending it, so they don't get that chance to practice as much as a pro athlete who has 2 or 3 saws in their garage.
Nice finish there by Niels Rölli. Great job and a personal best for him, so always like to see that. Okay, so our next heat coming up, we'll have Edvin Karlsson from Sweden going up against Loic Vincent. And as we did in the in the first discipline, we're going to go over to Marcus Float, who is with Ferry Swan, who will be competing in the pro event later on this afternoon. And they are going to break down this heat, heat number 4, with Edvin Karlsson and Loic Vincent. And there you see Pierre Puy.
So I've just been joined by the one and only Ferry Swan. Welcome. Loic against Edvin. That's going to be another big one. How is it for you guys, the pros, watching the youngsters, the rookies?
We're always watching the younger guys and see what they're doing. If they do a good cut, or if they do a bad cut, we can teach them, or we can teach each other pretty much, so it's good.
Well, you're not that old yourself, but you're one of the pros already. How does it work, teaming up together like at a competition that we have at the
it's really good. I like to see the rookies.
Yep. Let's take a closer look at what Edvin is going to do now.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, please just say anything that gets to your mind.
Yeah, he's had a good start there. He needs a smooth cut to make a fast cut. Going pretty good. Uses the whole saw there. So
look at his face.
Good pace, and one more stroke and there it's off. Oh, the cookie just broke before it's got off, but I think it's okay for the judges.
Hopefully it is, because it would be the best time of the day so far.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good cut. If just that last piece that was on the bottom, if he cuts it correctly, it's okay.
But how does it happen? Why does it so often happen? We see it many, many times. Is that just losing concentration?
Yeah, maybe when you come to the bottom, you lose concentration and you're wanting the cookie to fall, and you're too aggressive. Yeah.
So what are you going to tell him later on backstage?
Smooth is fast. He needs to cut it smooth, and then it's fast. Yeah.
Well, that's perfect to go back to Troy. And another Troy, smooth is fast. Remember.
So just watching that picture-in-picture, I never realized how long Ferry Swan's arms are. He has massively long arms. But let's take a look back here at this slow-mo with Edvin Karlsson getting a personal best here today. Oh, no, he didn't. I thought he did. Interesting.
So you see how smooth he is with that saw. Loic as well.
Yeah.
Really using that whole saw.
Little bit of a cook-up pause at the very end, but it was barely noticeable. Edvin Karlsson. Oh,
that's where the cookie broke off.
Yeah, he did get it without having to really do the reset. And I did see really briefly personal best there, so it fooled me a little bit. But it's Edvin Karlsson and Loic Vincent with the 2 fastest times so far in single buck, with 2 more heats to go. This one with Denny Fielwert and Sean Usch going against each other. And of course, the world record time of 9.96 is the target for these guys. But what we've seen so far today, the reality of that happening, not likely. Maybe with Szymon Groenwald, because he's just such a beast. The boy is a machine. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't know it to look at him, but he has a massive amount of power. He also has very long arms. He is fit. I mean, at the rookie academy, he was changing shirts, and I mean, even the guys were kind of drooling over the form that he had. It was unbelievable. He is so fit, and I mean, he is definitely the future of timber sports for Poland. Denny Fielwert, those piercing eyes focused on that block.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Left-hand side of your screen in black for Germany, Danny Fielwert, Sean Usch in red on the right-hand side of your screen here in the single buck. Second to last heat, and both of these guys hammering away at it. Sean Usch looking really fast towards the bottom with good clean cuts, and he is going to have it in 14.43 with Danny Fielwert getting a 14.98. Good heat. Good heat between these two. Sean Usch sneaks into second place with Danny Fielwert moving up into fourth place in the single buck there with a couple of good times. We'll get the official times readjusted here shortly when we get the thumbs up with Janssen. And there it is. So official times for Sean Usch, 14.06. Danny Fielwert, a 14.78. 84 hundredths of a second off the pace of the fastest time so far of Edvin Karlsson. Let's back at the start here.
So you can see here, Sean is not using his whole saw. I think if he would step back a little bit further and use the whole saw, he would be just that much more quicker.
It's an odd angle for his top hand as well, but it seems to work for him as he really pulls through on that one. The difference there, you could see that Danny Fielwert is more of a body push on the push through and the drawback. Yes. All right, this is what I'm really looking forward to seeing, because Miki Perrin is a very, very good single buck sawyer, but you can see that Szymon Groenwald, his personal best time, not that far off the time of Miki Perrin. And as I said, Szymon Groenwald is a machine. He is absolutely a beast out there, so he may well do some damage, but it's all about the wood at this point, because the skill is there for these guys, and I guess you could say a little bit of the luck of the draw as well. So like his brother Mikołaj, really focusing on making sure he sets that saw exactly how he wants to have it, perfectly straight, lined up. And there you see Miki Perrin. Same thing, magnesium on the hands, making sure that he is set to go. You can see their spiked shoes. Now, interestingly, Szymon Groenwald not wearing the spiked shoes from what I saw. I'm afraid to know the kinds of times that he will put in if he actually has spiked shoes and proper locks on the ground there for when he's ready to go. I'd like to see those shoes a little bit more. Maybe he does, and we're just not seeing him.
I think he might.
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, big stick up there.
Huge hook by Miki Perrin there. Szymon Groenwald getting it going. Arkadiusz Strostek there helping him. Miki Perrin Wow, Szymon Groenwald with a 12.26. That's the fastest time of the day. Miki Perrin struggling to get through. 26.6 for him. That puts Miki Perrin in 9th place in the single buck. How close are these guys together with their times? It's insane.
Unreal.
And we're going to get a final call here as there is a bit of discussion on Miki Perrin's side between the two judges.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
Okay, so I misread the situation there a little bit, and it shows that my poker reading skills are way off base. That's clear from last night's poker game in the hotel room as well, that just went completely south for me. I lost all my chips in a matter of, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe, but let's take a look back at the slow-mo, and a huge hookup for Miki Perrin there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what his problem was, but as soon as you hook up once, those nerves get you, and then you overcompensate, you move that saw way too much, and all it really needs is just a little bit to tweak it and then get the flow going again.
A little bit of I mean, you could see the face of Szymon Groenwald the whole time. He was grimacing, but then at the bottom when he saw that little tongue hanging there and then it came off, it was sort of almost a bit of a relief situation for him. So let's take a look here now at the rankings of the single buck. And now that we do have 2 disciplines or 3 disciplines, there's going to be some major changes in the overall. Szymon Groenwald at the top here, getting all the points possible in single buck. Edvin Karlsson just behind him. And then Switzerland's Sean Oesch. And in the overall standings, Edvin Karlsson stays atop the leaderboard with 33 points. Louis Poisson just behind by 4 points with 29. But Szymon Groenwald crawling up the leaderboard there into 3rd place with 28 points. So far, so good for all our athletes as we've got 3 disciplines done and dusted as we get set to go to the underhand chop. It is our last discipline and the last opportunity for these athletes to gain the points needed to perhaps adjust the overall standings. But right now, Edvin Karlsson strongly in the lead with a solid set of points.
He sure is.
Yeah, he's been consistent throughout the whole day. Anything that you saw out there that maybe would be interesting for you to note?
I think it's just the training that these guys have done that has helped them up here now.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, like I said, there's definite dedication. We've seen it at the Rookie Academy. We're seeing it the way these guys are training and preparing, and we are now ready to go with the underhand chop on stage. Let's get a little bit of insight about the tool and discipline.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
Okay, so our start list there, and again, mixed up and twisted around. Trekarici will be going up against Petersen, Roussel and Rowley battling in Heat 2, Groenwald and Oesch in 3, Anthofer and Vielwert again against each other in Heat number 4 of Voisin and Karlsson in Heat 5, and Miki Perrin and Szymon Groenwald once again battling in the final heat number 6 in the underhand chop. This one's for all the marbles. I won't say it's the maker or the breaker like the hot saw, but here is an opportunity for these guys to get as many points as possible and adjust the overall rankings. Our first heat up, heat number 1, with Nicola Trekarici up against Espen Petersen. So now the two axes that they're allowed to take on stage will have two different types of heads on them. One will have maybe a banana and the other one a chisel, or are they having two of the same? What's the situation there? Because we see that a lot with two axes coming on stage with the athletes.
It always depends on how the axes went into the wood during the prep.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
First couple of drivers looking good for these guys as, Trecarici steps down. He's got to be careful there, and hopefully there wasn't a swing and an impact while he was on the ground. It didn't look like it, though, so it should be okay. But if that happens, that could result in a DQ. Peterson now moving over to the backside of his block as Trecarici is about 2-3 strokes ahead of Peterson. Let's see who's going to get through first. Peterson's had good flow. He's been fairly accurate. Trecarici's going for a little bit more of the crazy heavy drivers there. Peterson almost there. Trecarici's coming close to it. Ooh, a big stick for Trecarici. And that could have cost him some time. And now both of the guys are struggling on the second side of their blocks. And it's about these straight drivers that are going in trying to split the log. And it's Peterson with a 54.78. Trecarici, who did have the lead briefly there, is now cutting just straight in, trying to get through there. But it seems to be just bouncing off the block.
Yeah, we'll have to see in the slow-mo then on the other side what happened. But you can see his window is not open very much, so it went really steep in those angles.
And he is through in 1:14.75. That is a disappointing time considering that his personal best, well, actually his personal best was 1:12.38, so it's not faster, but he's in and around that realm.
Ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, fair cuts, and the times are locked in. Peterson with a 54.42, so that's the fast time right now, the time to beat. I'm imagining that we're going to see some quicker times come out. Let's have a look here at what you were talking about on the first side of Trecarici's block.
So he was very quick with that side, and I think he expected or hoped for the second side to be just as good, but that didn't happen. So, he's got a big step down in there. So he did kind of close up his window. So that will definitely make it more difficult on the second side.
And he switched over about 4 strokes behind Peterson, but then they both seem to struggle on their second sides a little bit.
So when you miss that one hit, it's worth it to go back, do that hit again, because it'll save you so much headache on the other side.
Excuse me, I misspoke. Actually, Peterson stepped around about 4 strokes behind Trecarici, so Trecarici was actually faster to the second side. So like you said, perhaps that's where his problem was, is not opening up that window on the first side as wide as he could have. Yeah, that's the breath of God. I'm thankful that it's done. Okay, Vincent Roussel up against Niels Rolly. Niels Rolly at the moment sitting in, where is he? Oh, he's at the bottom of the list here, but he had a DQ off that first event, the stock saw, where he cut out. So that cost him dearly because he's been pretty consistent through the remainder of the events. So Niels Rolly coming up now up against the Frenchman Vincent Roussel, and you know that Niels is going to have plenty of support from the audience here on hand.
He sure will.
3, 2, 1, go!
I like the frequency of his hits, though. Niels Rolly really going for it. Nice big hits from way on high, not taking them over behind his head, but from right above. So it's looking like good accuracy as well, at least on one side. And he switches over to the second side of his block now. You can see it's a little bit stepped on the right side of the block from our perspective, but the left side is nice and smooth. The second side looking better for him as Vincent Roussel is on his second side as well. The question is who's going to get through here first and what's the times going to look like for these guys. A little bit of a hop there for Vincent Roussel. Niels Rolly is pretty close to getting through there. And you can hear the audience here really pushing him as they're into it. And it's Niels Rolly with a 47.33. Vincent Roussel with just a bit faster with a 46.68. 46.98, excuse me. So Niels Rolly Pretty solid underhand chop, sitting in second place. Vincent Roussel has taken over the top spot in underhand chop with the time to beat of 46.74 after adjustment. And Niels with a 47 even.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
And you can hear the crowd in the background. Both of these guys significantly slower than their personal best in this case, though.
So you see here, Niels does not move his feet like the other athletes do. So technically you usually move your feet and have them the same width apart like your hips in that direction of your angle that you want to hit that block. He literally stands flat,
square to the
block, and just changes his shoulders.
So a little twist of the feet like we're seeing here with Vincent Roussel is what we're looking for then, to be a little bit more accurate with your cuts.
That's right.
Now when I start competing in the senior citizens division, I'll take that into consideration.
We've been kind of seeing right now that the wood is a little bit harder, always on that one side.
All right, so 2 heats done and dusted for our underhand chop. The final discipline for our rookies. Once we have all the disciplines done, we'll figure out our points, and then those points will be accumulated and moved on and added to the pro points at the end of the day. So there will be no award ceremony after the rookie competition. But we're going to have a big award ceremony for the Nations Cup. But in the meantime, we've still got some rookies here that are competing hard. We also had a fantastic Rookie World Championships at the beginning of our season in June. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights from that event in Vienna.
Welcome to the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Rookie International World Championship.
Right away, he gets in there with 2 nice big accurate strikes on that one side. That was a blistering set of heats from these 2 guys. Unbelievable.
We're going to go to the next badass discipline. That is the stock saw.
The side of his block, 4 strokes. Holy moly!
Szymon Groenwald has broken the world record here in Austria. Fantastic stuff.
Wow.
Also Timbersport ist einfach ein super geiler Sport, den ich sehr, sehr gerne mache.
Fantastic event in Vienna, a ton of action. We saw some of the best racing in timber sports that we've seen all season long, and it just continues to impress these rookies all the way along. So next up we have Mikołaj Groenwald going up against Szymon in heat number 3. Personal best times for both of these guys. Groenwald with a 24.45, Szymon with a 21.37. So potentially a couple of new leaders here in our underhand chop results. Edvin Karlsson has yet to cut yet, but still holding the top of the leaderboard for our rookies for the moment.
3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Szymon, who was in there quickly, and you can see here Mikołaj Groenwald going for those quick axe strikes as well. Szymon pretty accurate there. Looking pretty good. One step on that right-hand side of the block, but clean on the left. And he's doing what you said earlier, Yolanda. He's switching his feet and following his axe run. Well, maybe not there.
No. Oh, a step down there.
Groenwald steps off the block. It's very important. And oh, Szymon 32.86. Groenwald struggling through on the second side. I was just going to say it's very important that these guys have it in mind. If they do step down, they need to be back up on the block before they can have another driver strike. And Groenwald getting through in a 45.44. And yes, it's the axe. It is the axe. No.
Well, he did look at it quite critically, so I'm not sure if he might have tapped it by that last stride underneath when it went through the block.
I know how he feels. If I don't score a goal with my hockey stick, I always blame it on the stick, not the skill of the athlete.
Both kids are good.
And I use athlete term loosely. So Groenwald with a 45.23, Szymon with a 32.62. Sean Oesch's time puts him atop the leaderboard in underhand chop. Mikołaj Groenwald, by virtue of the points that he gets here in second place in underhand chop, moves to the top of the leaderboard in the overall standings. And you can see here in the slow-mo, both of these guys pretty well in sync on that first side.
Yeah, and such hard hits. You can see how much wood is coming out of those blocks.
I was just going to say that a couple of drivers there were very accurate for Mikołaj Groenwald. Super clean and smooth sides.
The Polish guys, they have such good techniques.
Yeah. And their technique is also being added to the danger zone with the amount of speed they have with their hits. So we're going to head over to Marcus, who is with Sean Oesch right now.
I just had to grab the big man from Switzerland backstage. Sean, how is it to perform in front of your home crowd?
It's very nice. A lot of people are here, and we're together as team here, and makes a lot of fun.
And you're performing absolutely amazing. You were the fastest in this discipline. Overall, you're second ranked now. You must be pleased.
Yeah, but the big people came now. Now the other guys, they are stronger and better, and we will see at the evening where we are.
That's Swiss understatement. Thanks so much. Best of luck for the next disciplines.
Thank you.
Keep on rocking.
All right, heat number 4, Tim Anthofer against Danny Fjellvedt. We saw this early on in the competition, the two Germans against each other, and we see it again at the last discipline in the competition, these two guys battling each other. Tim Anthofer with a personal best of 28.96, Danny Fjellvedt with a 26.80.
Sie zeichnet ja das auch selber an. Also da gibt es eine Holzauslosung, bevor er bringen kann. Und da gibt es auch noch so einen Trick dazu, aber das machen sicher erst.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Tim Anthofer quicker into the block. Danny Fjellvedt, though, has the power. And, Tim Anthofer steps down. He's got a big wide window, though. That's a good sign.
That's right.
There's Danny Fjellvedt, also pretty wide on his first side. Who's going to go over to the other side? Tim Anthofer is having trouble finding his footing as he moves over to the other side, just about a half stroke ahead of Danny Fjellvedt. The two of these guys are pretty well matched up here, actually. Danny Fjellvedt, a newcomer champion from last weekend, coming close to getting through the block. Tim Anthofer right there with him, and it's going to be Fjellvedt in 40.14 seconds, so that puts him in second place right now. Anthofer with a 46.56, that has him in fourth place in the standings in underhand chop. Quick check there from Schul Janssen, making sure that no cuts were made into the footholds. That's a disqualifiable offense, but it looks like everything is all good.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
Okay, so Tim and Danny getting thumbs up as both cuts are good. Sean Oesch still in the lead of the underhand chop. Danny Fjellvedt slips into second place, pushing Mikołaj Groenwald down into third, and we're checking out the slow-mos here.
So both of them almost with the exact same hits going down into that block. But their balance today, I think, by these gentlemen has been a little bit off.
Yeah, it seems like. I mean, they're just not being able to find that footing on top, but it came a little bit late for Tim Anthofer, and Danny was actually quite okay as far as holding his position on the block, but he didn't like that time at all. Two more heats to go for our rookies before we end this part of the competition and move on to the pros later in the afternoon. We hope you will join us again for that. In the meantime, I mentioned earlier on, there's a lot of dedication from these guys. We also talked about the Rookie Academy and how this was an opportunity for many of these rookies to learn from the pros and expand their knowledge base in the world of timber sports. Let's take a look back at the Rookie Academy from early on in the season.
Wir sind hier für die Rookie Academy, um uns auf die Saison vorzubereiten mit den besten Rookies aus Europa und internationalen Trainern, um unsere Fähigkeiten zu verbessern und fit zu werden für die Saison.
Getting together with all the other European athletes and getting better together. For me, it's a great training camp.
For me, the Rookie Academy is very important because we can confront each other.
I'm totally delighted with the progress. The level is just climbing and climbing and climbing. What's remarkable is the dedication that these young guys have put in to the training programs, and that's what the Rookie Academy is about. It's about bringing those young fellas forward. A lot of the older pro competitors really need to be up in their game now, because these guys have got everything on their side. Youth, speed, power, and they've grown into young professionals.
The future is bright. I gotta wear shades as far as the rookies that are coming up is concerned, and we have the Underhand Chop Heat number 5 of 6 coming up with Loïc Vincent and Edvin Karlsson. Both of these guys did participate in the Rookie Academy, along with several others that are here today. And you know that many of the guys will be working hard to join the Rookie Academy 2023 as well, because it's a fantastic opportunity for them to improve their skills and learn from the big pros.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Edvin Karlsson right away with some very quick drivers into that block. Loïc Vincent got his axe caught a couple of times there. That slowed him down a bit, and Karlsson has moved over to the other side of his block quickly. It may well be that he's got the fast time today if he can keep this pace up. And Loïc Vincent has moved over about 4 strokes behind Karlsson here in this heat. Now remembering, it's not elimination, it's about the fast time. So if Loïc Vincent can get a fast time here, along with Edvin Karlsson, he's going to be among the top guys as well. But Edvin Karlsson's done it 30.41, and Loïc Vincent has done it with a 34.26. So Loïc Vincent sneaks into 3rd place in the underhand chop. Edvin Karlsson with the fastest time will take 12 points away so far, but there's one more heat to go. And that is with Miki Perrin and Szymon Groenwald in heat number 6. But for the moment, Edvin Karlsson leading the underhand chop with a time to beat of 30.17 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, both guys are good.
That also means that Edvin Karlsson takes over the top spot in the overall rankings once again, with Loïc Vincent sitting in 2nd and Danny Fjellved at the moment in 3rd, but we have one more heat to go as the stage is more or less ready. You can see the blocks that are up there, and we'll take a quick look back at the slow-mo of this battle here.
So you can see how these two athletes, they have so much experience over these past few years. You can just see how calm, quiet, and they're not nervous. They're not jumping around on that block. They do their switch up, they go to the other side and pull through.
Yeah, and again, this is about the experience that we talked about so much as a rookie athlete or just an intermediate athlete who's just coming into the sport. Gaining that experience in competition is invaluable.
That's right. A lot of these athletes do not have clubs to train in, so they do train by themselves, but you can't see if you're making a mistake when you're training on your own.
Well, you got to have a dance studio with mirrors. All right, here we have the final heat of our rookie competition at the European Nations Rookie Cup 2022. And again, the points will be accumulated and then added to the pros later on to see which nation is the dominant timber sports nation here today. Miki Perrin going up against Szymon Groenwald. These two guys battling each other once again, head to head. Now, we haven't seen any personal best come through in the underhand chop today, so the wood is not cooperating with these guys, but the times have been respectable. And at the moment, Edvin Karlsson's 30.17 seconds is the time to beat. Watch the speed of the axe head by Szymon Groenwald on the right-hand side of your screen here.
1, go!
Oh, I spoke too soon as he's gotten two sticky ones in there, and it's actually Miki Perrin that's going for that Australian style with super quick hits. Not super accurate, but he was fast with it, and it's Groenwald that moved over to the other side of his block. He's got some smooth sides, though, and again, you mentioned earlier, the accuracy of the axe cuts with the Polish guys is very, very good. And Groenwald, ooh, he's going to get through maybe in a 24.81, Miki Perrin in a 25.98, and I promise you, those times are going to change because it was a little bit strange how the clock stopped and those blocks bent over.
And they'll also be taking a closer look at Miki's stand there.
You can see there the markings for the foothold. It looks okay on that one that's kipped over. Let's see what our judge Sjoerd Jansen has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
All right, so we have fair cuts. There has been a time adjustment, so Miki Perrin was actually a hair faster than Szymon Groenwald with a 25.87 second cut. Szymon Groenwald with a 26.93 pushes Edvin Karlsson down into third place. Sean Oesch in fourth and Loic Vincent in fifth as we take a look back at the slow-mo here for this battle between Miki Perrin and Szymon Groenwald.
So I'm not sure if Miki has decided to change his style a bit because he's usually more calm on that block. He's very nervous, moving around a lot. And you can see once he does his changeover, he even does a step down.
I wonder if that has to do with the fact that he knew that Szymon was on the other block next to him, if he thought that he needed to try and keep pace with Szymon, because what we've seen from Szymon before is a very quick axe head, but he got it stuck twice in the start here, and it looked like Szymon just needed to slow things down and settle it all a bit.
That's right.
All right, so here we go. Underhand chop for our ranking is Miki Perrin on top with Szymon Groenwald in second place, then Edvin Karlsson in third, Sean Oesch in fourth, and rounding out the top five is Loic Vincent. You can see the rest of the guys, how they line up there. It's going to be key as we go to the final results for our rookies. Edvin Karlsson up there on top with 43 points. Szymon Groenwald, Loic Vincent, Miki Perrin, and Danny Fjellwerth rounding out the top five. But take a look where Mikołaj Groenwald is in relation to Espen Petersen. And that's going to take away some of the overall points for the nations ranking, as we'll take a look at the nations ranking right now. And interestingly, it is Team Scandinavia on top with 25 total points. Poland sitting in second by virtue of the brothers Strong. France, Italy, Germany, and then Switzerland rounding out the top six there. And we have Marcus Float right now with Edvin Karlsson, who was responsible for most of the points gained for Team Scandinavia today. He is on stage with our top athlete.
And the first one I talked to today and the last one I will talk to today in the rookies competition is Edvin. You gathered the most points. You must be very, very pleased.
Yeah, I can't really believe it. It's really nice.
I said, Edvin, congratulations. You more or less won the competition. Oh, really? That's nice. I mean, you had a lot of support from the pros, like everyone here at the rookies competition. And that's all we're looking for. This is why it's still so busy up here on stage. What are you going to tell the people to do at 2 o'clock today?
Yeah, watch the pro competition. It will be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah.
Do you think that your mentors are proud of you today?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully they make me proud too, yeah.
Well, we'll find out at 2 o'clock and really looking forward to that. Make sure to take part of it.
So, folks, our rookie competition is done and dusted. Yolanda, any last thoughts about how this went on today?
Well, I couldn't have told you who was going to be up at the top. It was really a let's see what happens. And Scandinavian team, the Nordic team, they pulled away.
My coin flip had Poland in the lead. I was a bit surprised, but not completely surprised, because we know that Edvin Karlsson is a fantastic competitor and Espen Peterson was solid, so they've done well. Poland is right there, though. The pro competition's coming up at 2 o'clock today. Don't miss it, because then we'll take the points from this competition that we just had now with the rookies and add them to the pro competitions. So thanks for joining us so far today. Lots more to come. Join us again afterwards. Till then, ciao, everybody.